Hello and welcome to video number 17. Okay, so for today's video, I want to talk about the Fear and Greed Index and also about the VIX Index. And the reason why I'm bringing these up is because more recently, I've been getting questions from family members, from friends, from people I've connected with on social media about the stock market. What's going on? Should I invest? How do I get started? How much money should I put in? If I already own stocks, should I be dollar cost averaging? Like, what is the best thing to do right now? I will pause there and say that I am not giving financial advice. And every time I talk to my friends and family members, or even people that I've met through social media, I always say, this is what I'm personally doing. This is what I've been doing with my portfolio. Now, this is just information that I'm sharing. This is just information that I'm documenting here on YouTube. You can do whatever you would like with that information, but I'm not telling you what to do. I can't really tell you what to buy, what to sell. But as someone who has been studying the market, as someone who has been getting more familiar with things like the Fear and Greed Index and the VIX Index, which are great indicators of the market sentiment, I have a little bit of understanding of where we're at. And that's not to say that the president can't open his mouth tomorrow and everything absolutely shifts or changes, but this is just where we're at right now. So that is the reason why I wanted to record this video. It is a Saturday. It is around 6 o'clock on a Saturday. I was getting ready to go run errands and I was like, you know what? I'm going to pause. I'm going to record this because it's been something that I've been talking about to some of my friends and just wanting to share this out because I know for me it was a game changer when I was starting to understand, okay, so this, I'm going to actually jump right into it because what the Fear and Greed Index is, it's essentially a way to understand the emotion of the market, right? So is the market moving, and is it moving in fear or is it moving in greed? So when the market is moving in fear, that is typically when we see the market is going bearish. The market is going down. People are starting to pull out their money. There's a lot of sellout, so people are selling their stocks because there's a lot of things going on. The perfect example of this is in the beginning of April when all the tariff news came out and the market went to shambles and we saw a huge dip. Everybody was talking about a crash. Everybody was talking about a recession. And if you looked at the Fear and Greed Index, which you could literally Google it, you can type in Fear and Greed Index and it'll show you, you would see that around that time, we were in extreme fear category. We were in the extreme fear category. And of course, now that all of that talk has kind of gone by, we are now in a greed, in the greed category. So the reason why I share this is what it kind of looks like. So I just want to share what it looks like. So right now we're in the greed. There is still potential to go into extreme greed. So the different categories are extreme fear, neutral, greed, or extreme greed. And so right now we're sitting in greed, which means that as we can see, the market is jumping back up. We have seen that there has been momentum in the market over the last couple of weeks, and we've pretty much recovered from where we were back in April. And so a lot of people that kind of went off of this market sentiment and saw that everybody was in fear, that was the emotion that everyone had back in April, a lot of them lost a lot of money because they decided to pull out, they decided to sell their shares, and ultimately ended up taking that loss. However, people that stayed calm and understand the fluctuation of the market and understand, okay, this is what this is telling me. It's telling me that everyone is in extreme fear, so there is a chance that the market will continue to go down. But eventually, once things start to stabilize again, we'll see the market pick back up. Where we're at right now is in the greed stage. And so typically when I see that the market is getting back into greed or extreme greed, I'm very, very cautious because usually by that time, that means that the prices of the stocks have recovered and there is a chance that something else will happen and kind of knock it back down. So a huge thing to remember is that there are always going to be support and resistance in the market. And so when you see that the market is getting back up to usually where, that line of resistance is sitting at, something will smack it back down, right? Unless there's a clear breakthrough. A lot of times when you start to see that the stocks are going right back up to where they used to be, so all-time highs, I usually tend to just pause and wait to see what's going on. If there's a breakthrough, that's great. That means that the stocks will continue to go up, but there is usually a chance that it will get smacked back down. And then I usually wait for it to get smacked back down to go ahead and buy more on the dip or the pullback, or even if there's another correction, that's typically when I buy. So I'm the type of person that I actually wait until the emotion of the market is in extreme fear or fear. And that is usually when I purchase more, dollar cost average, etc. So that is a little bit about the fear and greed index. Again, you can literally Google this and always be up to date on where we're at, what is the emotions in the market. You can read a little bit more about it. It'll also give you a timeline. So if you click on the timeline view, it'll show you, and this is actually crazy, but it'll show you what it looks like. And I don't know if you all can see that huge dip. And again, that was in April, and it went to a 4, which is extreme fear, and then now we're back up into the 60s. So just a really good tool to understand what's going on. Why are people, selling off, and why are things dropping? And then again, once things start to pick back up, I would be very cautious, and trying not to buy too much when the market is extremely high, because that's how you lose money. The second one that I wanted to mention is the VIX. So that is VIX, and you can also look this up. But the VIX is really a way to see how extreme volatility is, right? And so it tracks volatility. That tracks volatility of the market, and it's a really great indicator on kind of when to just also pause. So if you look at the graph, again, I'm using April 7th and April 8th as a huge kind of a huge date that I will continue to refer to, because we all know that was crazy. Like how the markets reacted to the tariffs news, how the markets reacted, and everybody kind of went into panic mode is something that hopefully we won't see like that often. But honestly, with the president that we have, I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to have a very volatile market for the next couple of years. And so in April, this VIX went up to about $52.33. And then right now we're sitting at about $18.57, which is a huge change. So really what I will say about the VIX is if you start to see it go up, if you start to see the VIX go up, that is usually an indicator that there's extreme volatility, and most likely we are going back into that fear zone. So these kind of go hand in hand, and I like to keep an eye on both of them because it gives me a better understanding of how other people are reacting and then how volatile the market is. And it's also a better way to manage your money so you're not making risky investments and then potentially losing a bunch of money. So those are the two that I would say, if you're not familiar with, you've never heard of it, or maybe you don't tend to keep an eye on it, I would recommend taking some time, maybe once a quarter, just seeing where we're at. I typically, again, like to do this once a quarter, and it really helps me in, making additional purchases, buying more shares, and knowing kind of when to pause. So when I start to see that we start getting into that extreme greed, I'm like, all right, let me chill, because the stocks are probably overvalued and something will then smack it back down. And then that's more likely when I will purchase more. So with that being said, I did want to say that NVDA and PLTR, which are the two stocks that I kind of highlighted in my top stock picks. We saw Palantir hit an all-time high last week, this week that just passed by, in the 130s, which is crazy to think that stock is, in the 130s now. And then NVDA, after the earnings report, did go up to the 140s, which was really nice to see. It did get smacked back down shortly after. So if any of you took any options plays, you probably made a little bit of cash there, but then it did get smacked back down into the 130s, which is pretty normal for after an earnings report. But really excited for this week coming up. Again, I am going to be continuing to watch Palantir, that's ticker symbol PLTR, and then NVIDIA, that's ticker symbol NVDA. I'm also looking at AMD. And there's a couple more, and if you haven't watched my previous videos, go back and check out where I highlight some of the stock picks that I have for 2025, but they haven't really changed and they are doing pretty well. So yeah, I'm excited to see what this upcoming week has. Today is May 31st. It's my dad's birthday, so feliz cumpleaños, papi. I already talked to him earlier, but yeah, I'm probably gonna go see him. He said we would do something tomorrow as a family, but that is my pops, so I might pull up on him. And yeah, really excited for this week, and really excited for just the opportunity to get better every single week, the opportunity to understand and become more financially literate. And so that is really what I talk about on this channel. I try to share as much as I know, and I learn as I go for most of this, and as I'm learning, I also want to share knowledge here. So if you have anything, any tools, anything that you think is worth sharing, go ahead and add it to the comments. If you have any stocks that you think I should add to my watch list that I haven't mentioned, also go ahead and drop a comment. And if you're brand new here and you're wanting to learn more about investing or how to get started, I would love for you to subscribe, stay tuned, and yeah, I'm excited for the community that I'm building. Really excited. I know I say this like every single time, but I'm really excited that there's more women that are following, and yeah, we're just learning and growing. So thanks for tuning into this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.